Hi guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. I hope you guys are doing well today. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about quite a serious thing. So WoW in general has had a huge increase in boosting culture in the last few years, in the last few expansions, more so than I've ever seen in other expansions so far. I've been involved in the boosting community for many years, both as a buyer, as someone who's bought boosts, as well as someone who's boosted. This expansion, much of the gold I've earned has actually been through boosting. And I have some morality things that I self-set, but ultimately there are things that I have boosted people who have been found in the Looking for Group channel. I have found people I have boosted with communities that actively spam and look for raiders and things like that. None of this is particularly nice for the average everyday player who's not interested in boosting, who's not interested in being boosted. They just want to play the game. And I understand this, and I'm not there to make anyone else's day worse by playing the game. It's not what I'm about. But ultimately, there are people who are willing to pay, and there are people who are willing to play the game and earn some gold at the same time. Now, from a legality standpoint and like terms and conditions and terms of service and things like that, Blizzard actively, they didn't endorse boosting. That's the wrong terminology, but they allowed boosting to exist as long as it wasn't for real money trading, which is interesting because they had the chance to go, no, we don't like boosting, we're not going to allow it. What they chose to do instead is go, we don't mind boosting, as long as you're not paying real money for it. If we catch you paying real money, we'll ban both the booster and the boostee, which is quite a punishment, in fairness. Now, that's quite interesting. For me, I see three main issues with boosting. The first one is advertising. Ultimately, if there was an active place that could be used for advertising, and what I mean by this is if you had somewhere like, or if Blizzard even came out and said, look, we're going to allow you to boost. Not a problem. We're going to allow you to advertise for boosting. What we're not going to allow you to do is spam every channel with it. So from now on, you're not allowed to put boosts in dungeons or raid, but you are allowed to put them in custom. This would give people an active place where they can go and look for boosts, as well as a place where they are boost free if that's not what you're interested in. And I think there's potentially a nice little balance between it, and potentially something that could be quite interesting having that there. The second part is payment. Now, Blizzard have actively came out and said you're not allowed to real money trade, which is fine. I completely agree with this. However, Blizzard have their own real money trading for these boosts. This is the bit that people forget, is that Blizzard actively allow you to buy a boost, because they have WoW tokens. If I wanted to go and buy a Mythic 15 key right now, but I didn't have the money to do it, I could actively go and buy a WoW token, and that would allow me to pay for a boost. And boosters are smart. They're made by business people. They are run by business people. They sell a Mythic 15 for around the same amount as a WoW token, conveniently enough, so that it puts a cost to it, despite the fact you're not allowed to real money trade, of real money. And this is quite interesting that it's Blizzard have basically gone, you're not allowed to real money trade boosts as long as it's basically if it's not from us. And the last part is skill. The last major issue with boosting is skill. I've played with people actively that have obviously bought Keystone Master. They don't know what Prideful is, yet they have the Keystone Master mount, things like that. That's just something that, unfortunately, I think we are too far gone in this boosting culture now for that to change. I don't think that's something that is likely to change, and therefore I'm not sure how you deal with it. I say that. I have an idea of how it could be dealt with, but it means an almost entire rework of the Mythic Plus and the raiding scene, and that seems like a lot of effort for Blizzard that they're probably not going to do. So let's talk about it. The advertising one is interesting. I think there's a very simple fix to this, and it requires Blizzard to semi-endorse boosting. Like I said, in the past, they've kind of endorsed it, but not really. It requires Blizzard to say, look, we're okay with you boosting as long as you do it in the right channels, and we will punish you if you don't do it in the right channels. I think if you got to this part and this kind of agreement with boosters and boosties, because it's both people that are punished by it ultimately. If you got to that part where there was a specific channel, whether it be custom or another channel entirely, that boosters could advertise in, I think they would be okay. I think there wouldn't be so much of an issue. I think one of the biggest issues people have in asking people, and I do actively ask people when I see them and talk to them, what's your biggest issue with boosting? A lot of the answers is, we don't want to hear about it all day. We don't want it to be in every aspect of the game we play. There are people boosting in PvP. There are people boosting in Mythic Plus. There are people boosting in raids. We know it exists. We just don't want to hear about it. And I think if you take away the aspect of hearing about it all day long, I don't think there would be such an issue. In terms of payment, I think ultimately this is one of the biggest gold sinks in WoW. I could go and let's have a look. I'm in a couple of boosting communities. Like I said, I have boosted a fair bit this expansion. If I have a look at the price list for Mythic Sire Denathrius, so a Mythic Sire Denathrius, it's going to cost me and this is just the one community that I'm looking at currently, it would cost me 4.5 million gold just to kill Sire Denathrius once on Mythic. Now, I would get the achievement for that, and that's fine. Obviously, you wouldn't even get the Hall of Fame now because it's already been filled. You would literally just get Cutting Edge. That's it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have. Would I pay 4.5 million gold for it? No, probably not. But what's interesting, though, is that people must be paying for it because they are selling these boosts. And that's what's... The payment is one of the biggest gold sinks in WoW. You think if there's 2 boosters per raid, what other thing in WoW is a 9 million gold sink? There's nothing. There's nothing that equates to that. Even Longboy is, 5 million? There's nothing that takes money out of the game like that, and I think that's healthy for the game. I think that's a good thing. I don't think there should just be an infinite amount of money in the game. So pricing, I really don't have much of an issue with. I think conveniently, like I said earlier, something like the Mythic 15 boosts, they are conveniently priced around the WoW token price. Of course they are, because people are actively on. I guarantee if you looked at Blizzard's stats for when WoW tokens get sold, Sundays and Mondays, the days before reset, when people are like, crap, I haven't had time to do a Mythic 15 this week, I need one done, I'll just get a token, I'll get one sorted. The boosts actively go up the day before reset. Obviously for US that's Monday, for EU that's Tuesday. Tuesday night, if I wanted to, I could make upwards of 1 million gold in a couple of hours. Just farming these Mythic 15s where people are like, I just need a boost really quickly. The skill level is interesting. So the skill, I think we need to start walking away from achievements being the primary skill level. We had gear score back in Wrath of the Lich King, and it turned into item level later on, and people looked at you and went, right, have you killed the boss before? Do you have high enough item level to be good enough to kill the boss? If you had yes to both of them answers, you were invited. If I walked into a normal raid now, just ding 60, but I walked in and linked Cutting Edge, I guarantee I'd get an invite. People just want people who are capable of running the raid, not ones that are going to top DPS. If I walked into a Mythic raid, I've done a couple of Mythic pugs, and I would be able to get in with the achievements and some good eye level. What people are starting to do now, and I think this is a good thing, is they're starting to look at logs. Now, ultimately, if you've got one Sire Denathrius kill on Mythic, and that's the only boss you've killed, people are going to be able to see that you were boosted from a mile away. So at that point, you have to ask yourself, what's the purpose of the boost? Am I being boosted just to get the achievement, or am I being boosted because I want to get into future runs? There's a lot of people, especially early tier, that buy ahead of the curve boosts. This is not so they can flex on people and go, oh, I've got ahead of the curve. It's so that they can get their way into the future raids where people are asking for ahead of the curve only. Ahead of the curve costs currently around 75, 80k, and that's not really that expensive, especially in this expansion where if you're doing your emissaries every day, you're earning 1 or 2k a day anyway. If you're just doing nothing else but a couple of world quests. So it's certainly really interesting, and I think all in all, I like boosting in the game because it's a source of income for me. It's a source of way of playing with really good players. It's a really nice community. And yes, I've not only have I boosted this expansion, I've also been boosted. I have paid about 150k for a couple of alts to be done through Mythic 15s. Just for a couple of weekly chests. I will probably do the same thing on my mage when I hit level 60. I'll probably pay for one Mythic Plus key at level 15 just so that I get a nice weekly chest on my first one. Now, by the second week, I should be able to do it myself. Now, I have Keystone Master. I earned Keystone Master myself. And I think the morality aspect of boosting is if I can do it myself, boosting shouldn't be an issue. So if I'm capable of doing it myself, boosting shouldn't be an issue. I'm capable of going in and getting ahead of the curve. I know I'm a good enough player to do that. But if I can't get into a group that's able to do it, I'm getting into pugs and lots of frustration, blah, 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 blah. Should buying ahead of the curve be frowned upon? Well, no, I don't think it should be. Yeah, so rather than keep rambling on, I'm going to summarize. I think in terms of advertisement, Blizzard needs to just get off their asses and have some form of responsibility. Say, look, this is what we're going to allow you to do. This is what we're not allowing you to do. And you guys manage it. I think if that was the case, it would be a lot cleaner and happier. I think in terms of pricing, it's a gold sink. Ultimately, the people who can't afford to do it, it doesn't matter. The people who can afford to do it, brilliant, good for them. It's a nice gold sink. It takes money out of the game. It makes a living economy. Unfortunately, it does increase gold buying and RMT, but that's just something that Blizzard has to manage, unfortunately. And in terms of skill, I think if we started looking towards a more log-based system or score-based system, if you killed a boss and it went, okay, you got hit with 3 mechanics, you did like 80% average percentile damage, whatever, and this was all built into the game, you got like an A+ or something for killing a boss. I know that's very kind of Japanese style, but you see what I'm saying, or fighter style. You see what I'm saying, though. If you had something like that where you were easily able to be kind of recognized on your participation on a boss, that would potentially be better than anything else, because it doesn't matter if you got the achievement. If you have the achievement and you got an S on a boss or an A on a boss, someone would look at you and go, actually, yeah, he's a good player. If someone looked at you and went, oh yeah, you killed it once, but you got a Z, you did 1 damage and died, well, okay, then we know that you're not very confident with the boss you were boosted through, likely. But yeah, I'm going to leave this video here. I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts and comments on this. Do you think boosting should stay in the game? Is it something that you think Blizzard can even manage to take out of the game? Yeah, give me your opinions. I'm interested to hear. Thank you for watching, guys. I know it's a bit longer video than normal. More videos to come in the week. And yeah, so happy days, have a nice day, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye, guys.